Hey everybody, this is Frilioth and welcome to another Minecraft tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to build the revised version, the Mark II version of my tiny iron farm. Now, with the previous Mark I version, which was one block smaller, there was a chance that the villagers could be bitten by the zombie. I never had it myself while I was testing, but I've been told by a few of you now that the zombie was able to hit the villagers through the corners. This new revised farm stops that from happening. I've also extended it by one block, which means now that the villagers will no longer lose their bed if the chunk is unloaded. With the previous version, if the chunk was unloaded, the bed in the corner could be lost to the villagers and it would break the farm. This version stops that from happening. Now, before I tell you what you need to build this thing, I need to point out that this will not work in Bedrock. It won't work on PlayStation or Xbox or Switch or console or Wii or anything like that. The mechanic for Bedrock is completely different. This is a Java build, Java 1.16.3. Okay, it will not work in Bedrock. Please don't send me messages asking if it'll work in Bedrock. It won't work in Bedrock. I've put it in the description. I will put it in the comments. This will not work on Bedrock. Okay, to build this really tiny iron farm, you're going to need an area that is 4 blocks by 7 blocks, and you're also going to need everything that's in this chest. So pause the video if you need to. Now let's crack on and build it. So now you've found yourself somewhere to build this thing. You need to put down the base, and the base is 7 by 4, leaving one block out. You need to leave that block out there, which is where your zombie is going to be standing. 6, 7. So you stick down your base like this. Now you need your base. You need that there because later on when we put the beds on here, we're going to be putting beds here like this. And if you put your beds there and you have this at floor level, if that was at floor level like that, the villagers will jump out of the beds and they'll stand on these blocks which will be outside of the farm. So you don't want that. So the way to get around that is to have it on a little platform, and then the villagers will jump back inside the farm and not outside the farm. So it's important that you put it on this base like this. So you want to do that. You want to leave that block out. That's where your zombie is going to be standing. Now you've done that, you want to put down a solid block just there next to the hole. That's your hole where your zombie is going to be standing. This is your safe spot for your villagers. Your villager needs a safe spot. I'll explain why in a second, but you need to put a solid block there like that. And take out your trap doors, jump into your zombie hole, put a trap door there and open it. And then put a trapdoor there and open it. Okay, so you've got a trapdoor in your zombie hole like that, so the zombie can't get to your villagers, and you've got a trapdoor there to stop your villagers getting too close to your zombie. Now, I never had this myself in testing, but it's been pointed out that on occasion the zombie in the hole here can hit the villagers and turn them into zombie villagers. So to prevent that from happening, if you put those two trapdoors there and there, it puts enough space between the two of them that the zombie can't get to the villager. So you want to put the trapdoor there and there, like that. Now take out your beds. You want to stand at the front of the farm and you need to put a bed there, okay, with the head of it in the middle and the foot of it here. So when the villager jumps out of bed, it's going to jump out to here. If you did it this way round, like that, he'll jump out of bed straight into your zombie hole. And nobody wants that. So make sure that bed is facing towards the back. The head of the bed has to be in the middle. And then go to the other end and put 2 beds there. Okay, so the heads of the beds are in the middle. And the reason for this gap, with the old farm, with the Mark I version, the beds were like that. And on occasion, the villager, when the chunks were unloaded, the villager couldn't find that bed. These 2 beds were fine. That bed there, the villager couldn't get to it. We're going to be putting a roof on this in a second. The villager couldn't get to it. Okay, so in order to prevent that from happening, we extend the farm by 1 block and move the beds back 1 block. That means that all of these beds now are accessible. So even if the chunk unloads, when it loads again, the villagers are going to be able to go around and find their beds. So now you should have something that looks like that. So now take out your glass blocks. These don't have to be glass blocks, but I like seeing in. I like being able to see what my villagers are doing. They can be solid blocks if you like. It doesn't make a difference. And put them all the way around the outside. Like that. And make them too high. Okay. And then at the back end, this end above these two beds, you want to put down a double chest. And that's where your iron and your poppies are going to be stored. So now you've got that. Now take out your solid blocks and you want to put some solid blocks here. Start at the front. You'll need to put 2 layers of solid blocks there and one at either side like that. And then stick a jack-o'-lantern in the middle. And that's to give some light to the bottom. Without that, it could get pretty dark in here, and we don't want zombies spawning on this platform here. So we put the jack-o'-lanterns in to provide a little bit of light. And then you want to put some more solid blocks, just like that. Now these have to be solid blocks. If it's glass, if you put glass up here or something else, glowstone, like I said before, the golems won't spawn on it. They have to spawn on a solid block. Okay, so it's got to be a solid block. And then take out your hoppers, and you'll need to crouch and put 2 hoppers facing into that chest, double chest there. And then you want to put 2 hoppers facing into those hoppers. Make sure the nozzles are facing backwards. And then crouch again. Put 2 hoppers facing into those hoppers, and the same on this side. Like that. And that prevents any drops falling on the walls on the outside. If you only put 2 hoppers there and put solid blocks around the side of it, it's possible that the iron will fall onto these solid blocks and then it won't go into the hoppers. So by putting a few more hoppers around, you prevent that from happening. And to be honest, you're not going to be short of iron soon, so making hoppers isn't going to be a problem. So now you should have something that looks like that. Now take out your walls, and you need to put a wall all the way around the top. Now don't use wood here. If you use wood, there's a very good chance, especially if fire ticks are turned on your server, that the lava that we're going to be using to kill the golems is going to set fire to your fences. And if it does that, there's going to be lava everywhere. There's going to be tears. So use walls. You can use the wood from the nether if you want to, but it's just as easy to use cobblestone or stone walls, or any wall andesite, any stone variant will do, but they do need to be stone rather than fences. And you want to put a wall around it that looks like that. And then take out your signs, and you want to put a sign there, and then a sign there and there. Okay, signs won't burn in lava, so it's fine to use wooden signs. And then you want to stick some lava in that gap, and it's going to be held in by the signs that you've just put down. Okay, and then take out your water, and you'll need to put a blob of water there and some water there. Now be careful not to be looking at your wall when you put the water down. If you're looking at the wall when you put water down, that happens. It'll waterlog your wall, and you'll have water everywhere. Okay, so make sure you're looking at that block when you do it. So now you should have something that looks like that. So we're getting close now to putting the villagers in the farm, but before we do that, we need to spawn proof around the outside of it, because if we don't, obviously the golems are going to spawn outside, and that's going to break your farm. Now you need to spawn proof an area of 7 blocks away from the farm, just to be safe. You can get away with 6, but on occasion, if the villager calling for the golem is right in the corner of one of the blocks, it could be spawned on the 7th block. Okay, so just spawn proof out to 7 blocks. Now this can be carpet or buttons or something like that. You could probably get away with slabs. I would be careful using slabs, especially if you're using them at the end of the bed here, because if you put slabs here, I don't know whether the villagers will jump out onto the slabs. So I'm going to be using carpet, but as I say, carpet or buttons will be fine. But don't use torches because golems will spawn at any light level. So spamming torches around here won't work. So now we're going to put these villagers into the farm. You want to make sure that there are no other beds or no other villagers within 32 blocks of the farm. And beds include your own beds as well. You want the villagers in this farm to associate themselves with these 3 beds. If there are beds close enough around for the villagers here to find, they could associate themselves with another bed, and this will break this farm. Okay, so make sure that you're 32 blocks at least away from any other villagers or beds or anything like that. And then wrangle yourself 3 villagers. I'm going to be spawning them in with a spawn egg because I can. Just get them in boats, or if you're close to a village, if you build this in the middle of a village, just break the beds in the village and then 3 of them will come over here anyway. And to get them into the farm, it's relatively straightforward. You need to break those 3 blocks there like that, and then just wait for it to get dark. You see the little particles, they've already associated themselves with the beds in there. What? Following me about. So now just wait for it to get dark and then we'll go and jump into bed. So they've all found a bed, everybody's gone to sleep, everybody's happy. Now before you block them in, you need to get in here and you'll need to put a glass block above these 2 blocks there. Okay? So above the villager safe block and the zombie hole, you need 2 solid blocks, 2 glass blocks. And that's so this space here, when the villager is here, he can't see that zombie. Alright, if he can see the zombie, he's always going to be terrified. He won't go to sleep. And these guys need to sleep. They need to sleep every 20 minutes for this farm to work. And when I say sleep, I just mean get into bed. They don't actually need to go to sleep. They just need to jump into bed. And that classes as going to sleep. And they do that when they're stood here because they're not being terrified by the zombie we're about to stick in that hole. Okay, so those blocks are very important. Once you've done that, you can block them back in. Like that. Now you need to find yourself a zombie or a husk or a vindicator or something like that. Skeletons, creepers, spiders won't work. It needs to be a zombie or a husk or a vindicator, an illager of some type. And that's used to frighten the living daylights out of these villagers. And we need to get it in there. Now, to get the zombie, as I mentioned, is the hardest thing to do. It's not easy. Get it in a minecart, get it in a water chute. There are several ways to do it. I'm not going to show you how to do that here. This is not a zombie wrangling video, but you need to get it in that gap there. Okay? So once he gets into there, those poor guys get absolutely terrified. They jump out of bed and they run around, and within 30 seconds, there he is. They'll call for a golem. Now, these guys they'll recognize that there's a golem up there. As soon as that golem's gone, as soon as it's died, like that, they'll now start counting down. And within 30 seconds, they'll realize that they don't have a golem, and they'll call for another one. And the golem up there will take about 15 seconds to die. So every 45 seconds, between 45 seconds and a minute, you'll get a golem up there. And each golem will provide you with 3 to 5 pieces of iron. Now, this zombie in here, if you're lucky enough to get him to be able to hold something, which we're not, then you're going to have to name tag him. If you don't name tag him anyway, even if he's holding something, name tag him anyway. When you leave the chunk, this guy could despawn. He won't despawn if he's got a name tag. So give him a name, like that, old Zombini in there. And then you can lock him in, and that's it. Now that farm will now work 24/7. You can see when the villagers walk into their safe spot, just here, they forget the zombies there, they jump into bed. As soon as they jump into bed, they can see the zombie again. Oh my God, there's a zombie! And they'll jump out of bed. Okay, that's how this farm works. Now, if you've left the area for any amount of time, as I say, these guys have to sleep guys have to sleep every 20 minutes. All of them, not just one of them. They all have to get into bed every 20 minutes. So if you've left the area to go on a mining expedition or hunting something or to build something somewhere else and you come back during the day, these guys won't have slept. So there's a chance that the farm won't work initially straight away when you come back again. If that's the case, it just has to become night. These guys jump into bed, the farm will start working again. Now, I've said this at the beginning of the video, I've put this in the comments, I've put this in the description, it may well even be in the title. This will not work on Bedrock, okay? Console or Bedrock has a completely different mechanic when it comes to spawning golems. This will not work on Bedrock. I'm just wondering how many people actually send me a message asking if this will work in Bedrock because they don't read the comments or they don't read the descriptions or they play with the sound down or for whatever reason. I'm sure there's going to be a few of you that actually decide to send me a message asking if this works in Bedrock. This will not work in Bedrock. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the revised version, the Mark II version of my tiny iron farm. This one has zombie protection and it means that the villagers will no longer lose their beds if the chunk isn't loaded. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, everybody. If you have, please don't forget to leave it a like. And if you've really loved it, don't forget to subscribe for future tutorials. This is Frilioth and I'm out of here.